You know, when the sun goes down, a completely hidden world comes alive. It's a world you can't see, but you can definitely hear it. It's a whole landscape made of electromagnetic waves, carrying voices from literally the other side of the planet. Today, we're going to dive into the story of a young man who became an explorer of this invisible frontier. Okay, so picture this. It's 1962. We're in a quiet living room in San Diego. It's late, and a 19-year-old named Randy is hunched over this glowing radio dial. His dad, Fred, walks in and asks him a simple, pretty curious question. But that simple question was about to get an absolutely astonishing answer.
So, in response, Randy just turns up the volume, and out of the speaker comes this crystal-clear station ID, 1ZB Auckland. And no, not Auckland Avenue. We're talking Auckland, New Zealand. In that one single moment, his dad's skepticism just vanished, replaced by pure amazement. His son wasn't just fiddling with an old radio, he was listening to the other side of the world.
I mean, just think about that for a second. A radio signal traveling over 6,500 miles, clear across the Pacific Ocean, and right into a living room in San Diego. This is the kind of magic that sparks a lifelong passion. But how did this incredible journey even begin?
To really understand Randy's obsession, we have to rewind a little bit, back to a discovery he made in his family's garage. Yep, it all started with this thing, an old Zenith all-band radio. Randy would literally perch on a ladder out in the garage, just tuning the dials. He was using that radio not to see the stars, but to hear the world. For him, it was like a telescope for sound, pointing toward horizons measured in kilohertz, not light years.
And that, of course, is the big question that started to drive Randy's curiosity. I mean, it's one thing to hear a station from far away, but it's something else entirely to figure out how that's even possible. How does a voice from New Zealand cross an entire ocean?
Well, the answer, as Randy would soon find out, isn't on the ground at all. Nope, it's way, way up high above us, in a layer of our atmosphere called the ionosphere. And it behaves very, very differently after the sun goes down.
Okay, so here's how it works. It's actually pretty cool. During the day, the sun charges up this part of the ionosphere called the D layer, and it acts like a giant sponge, just soaking up AM radio signals. But at night, that D layer fades away, and the layer right above it, the E layer, becomes this giant celestial mirror in the sky, reflecting AM signals right back down to Earth.
So, a signal gets transmitted, it travels up, and bam, it bounces off that E layer mirror. It comes back down to Earth, maybe 1,200 miles away. But it doesn't stop there. It can then bounce off the Earth's surface and go right back up to the ionosphere. Again and again, literally hopping its way across entire continents and oceans. So as Randy's understanding of all this science got deeper, so did his dedication. This wasn't just a passing fancy anymore. This was becoming a serious pursuit. And for that, he was going to need the right tools for the job.
You can really see his journey just by looking at his gear. He starts in '62 with that old Zenith from the garage, but by '65 he'd upgraded to a Hammarlund HQ-180. That's a professional communications receiver built for serious precision. And a few years later, he's using a directional loop antenna to really zero in on those super weak signals. He was building a true listening post.
And what's so fascinating is that Randy wasn't just doing this all alone in his bedroom. He was actually part of this huge, pre-internet global community of fellow explorers.
This hobby has a name. It's called DXing. It's a pretty simple term that comes from old radio shorthand. D stands for distance, and X stands for the unknown station. So DXing is literally the hunt for distant and unknown signals, a kind of challenge that connected people all over the world.
Randy's logbook was basically a chronicle of all his explorations. I mean, stations from places like New Zealand, Australia, and Japan, those became pretty routine tatches for him. But on those nights when the conditions were just perfect, he could pull in signals from some truly rare locations like Western Europe, Thailand, even Western Africa, all from his bedroom in San Diego. But this hobby went so far beyond just listening. These DXers, they were a really active community. Randy would write letters to the stations to get these confirmation cards. They called them QSL cards. He even became an editor for the International Radio Club of America's newsletter and hosted their national convention. This was about building real friendships that would last for decades. When you get right down to it, Randy's passion was about something much deeper than just turning a dial.
It was really a unique form of discovery.
Randy was an explorer, plain and simple. He was charting this invisible landscape of signals that crisscrossed the globe every single night. His adventure didn't need a ship or a plane, just a good receiver and an absolutely endless supply of curiosity.
I mean, think about it. This hobby was a real discipline. It taught him about physics, about geography, about international broadcasting, but more than anything, it taught him the value of patience. I'm just sitting there for hours in the quiet darkness, waiting for those faint electromagnetic whispers from the other side of the world.
You know, Randy's story really reminds us that exploration can take a lot of different forms. In our world of constant, effortless global connection, it kind of makes you wonder, what hidden worlds are still out there, just waiting for a new generation of listeners and explorers to tune in?